You know, castles, they're just scattered all over Europe like these ancient stone giants, and they just pull you in, right, into this lost world of heroes and legends. But have you ever stopped to think, are they just grim old fortresses, or is there something more to them? Well, let's dive in and see how these military strongholds really became the stuff of fairy tales.
So think about it for a second. When a castle pops into your head, what do you see? Is it this brutal fortress, built for nothing but war? Or is it a fairy tale palace, the perfect stage for some noble ceremony? The really fascinating thing is, it's both.
Okay, this really lays out the castle's split personality, doesn't it? On the one hand, you've got the fortress. It's all about pure military might, commanding territory and defense. But on the other side, you have the palace. That's about noble ideals, gracious living, ceremony. For centuries, the people building these things had to somehow balance these two completely opposing forces.
In the beginning, this balancing act was a huge challenge. I mean, a castle's #1 job was to protect a lord and his entire household. But it also had to be a home, a place where these incredibly powerful people could live with some level of comfort and style.
This quote just nails it. This constant tension between being a cozy home and a deadly war machine, that's exactly what makes castles so unbelievably compelling. It's a contradiction literally built in stone.
But here's the thing, that balance, it didn't stay the same. As time went on, these powerful new ideas about romance and chivalry started to tip the scales, and they began to transform castles from just fortresses into these grand political stages.
In chivalry, you see, it wasn't just some code for how to behave on the battlefield. Oh no, it was a really powerful political tool. Smart rulers could use its ideals, loyalty, honor, to inspire their nobles and basically wrap their own power in this cool mythical story.
A perfect example of this is Windsor Castle under King Edward III. Now, he was facing this massive war with France, and he did way more than just raise an army. He launched one of the most expensive building projects of the entire Middle Ages to turn Windsor into a powerful symbol that would rally his whole kingdom.
And his strategy was honestly brilliant. First, he connects his own reign to the legendary King Arthur and Camelot. Then, he creates the super exclusive Order of the Garter for his most important knights. So what happens? He locks in the loyalty of his nobles, because now they weren't just fighting for a king. They were fighting for this grand, chivalric cause.
And this wasn't just a one-time thing. For generations, English kings used this connection. I mean, look at this legendary round table. It was built by one king, and then centuries later, another king has it repainted. It just goes to show you how valuable that whole Camelot myth was for showing everyone who was in charge.
You can actually see this shift towards comfort in the architecture itself. Some of these castles had what were basically luxury apartments, complete with private toilets, wash basins, even big glazed windows. Now, that's great for living, but it's a total nightmare for defense. In fact, some of those toilet chutes could have been an easy way for an attacker to get in. So yeah, comfort was definitely starting to win out over combat.
All right, now let's head over to France because that's where this evolution really hit its peak. During a period of peace and prosperity, the French chateau finally shed its fortress disguise and just blossomed into a full-blown palace. And this table just lays it all out so clearly. The drawbridge, once a vital piece of defense, now it's just a grand entrance. Towers that were meant for archers, they become these elegant living spaces. And those narrow arrow slits are replaced by huge windows. The language of war had become the language of style.
The Château de Blois is like a history book written in stone. If you stand in its main courtyard, you can literally see centuries of change unfold right before your eyes, from this imposing Gothic fortress to this incredibly elegant Renaissance palace.
And here is the absolute key. Look at this incredible staircase. It has zero defensive purpose. It just juts right out from the wall, completely exposed. Why? Pure theater. It was a stage for the king to make his grand entrances, and for all the courtiers to see and be seen. The castle wasn't a shield anymore, it was a stage.
So, just when it seemed like the age of the castle was finally over, something totally unexpected happened. The Industrial Revolution, the very symbol of modernity, gave the castle a surprising second act.
Suddenly there's this new class of super-rich industrialists. Their fortunes are built on things like coal and steel and textiles. They had all the money in the world, but they didn't have the status of the old aristocracy. So what did they do? They used their very modern fortunes to build medieval dreams, commissioning these incredible fantasy castles to live out their aristocratic fantasies.
And to get a sense of just how much wealth we're talking about, get this. The world's first £1,000,000 check was supposedly written at Cardiff's coal exchange. In today's money, that's well over £100 million. This was an era of just staggering new fortunes. And for some, all that money was spent on building the past.
And the results were, well, breathtaking. Just look at Cardiff Castle, or the fairytale-like Castell Coch in Wales. They were rebuilt by the unbelievably wealthy Marquis of Bute, whose fortune came from coal. These weren't fortresses. They were exquisite romantic fantasies of a medieval past, built entirely on the profits of the industrial age.
So, after this whole journey from a brutal fortress to an industrialist fantasy, we have to ask ourselves, why? Why do these buildings still have such a hold on us today?
You know, this quote really gets to the heart of it. For centuries, castles were the ultimate symbols of exclusive power. Only a tiny elite could ever go inside. But now anyone can wander through them. You can stand in the king's bedroom. You can marvel at the Great Hall. In our democratic age, these powerful buildings have become democratized.
So at the end of the day, there's not just one reason we love castles. They're a real physical link to a dramatic and often brutal past. They're a powerful symbol of romance and fantasy. They were a theater for history itself. And now, they're a space that we can all share and explore together.
So, the next time you find yourself wandering through a castle, just ask yourself, what are you really looking for? The warrior who built it to survive, or the dreamer who turned it into a palace? The warrior or the dreamer? Maybe the true magic of the castle is that we can still find a piece of both inside its walls.